Hi, everybody. How are you today? I hope, considering everything, that you're doing all right, that you're hanging in there. I know these past few weeks have been really rough. Lots of heavy emotions swirling around, lots of fear, lots of stress. So I hope that you're hanging in there. It's probably a good idea sometime today, probably every day, to take a few really deep belly breaths. Really fill your belly, expand your chest, use that diaphragm to really push that oxygen through your body. It truly does have a calming effect, right? And I hope, considering what we talked about in yesterday's virtual coffee date, that you are really trying to prioritize self-care, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, because I know many of you are still really busy. You're trying to take care of children, you're trying to entertain them and educate them. Most of you are still working remotely. Some of you are frontline workers who carry on with lots of stress and lots of busy schedules. So I know things aren't necessarily leisurely for very many people. So even if it's just a couple of minutes out of your day to do something that makes you feel healthier, calmer, more grounded, something for you and just you. Because taking care of our mental and physical health is incredibly important right now. When we're going through crises, when times are uncertain, when we're feeling lots of heavy emotions all at once, those are the times we really need to prioritize self-care. Unfortunately, those are also the times we oftentimes push self-care aside to do other things that feel more important or more necessary in the moment. And maybe in the moment they are, right? Taking care of your kids, going to work, right? Those are necessary things, don't get me wrong. But it's still important to take a few minutes out of your day to do something for you, to make you feel better, right? Because it's cliche, but it is true that you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't contribute to the community. You can't help others. You can't reach your own goals unless you are taking care of yourself first, okay? So that's the moral of the story for all of these virtual coffee dates. So today is a Friday, and so I'm coming to you from IGTV. I do these coffee dates live on Instagram in my stories Mondays through Thursdays at 8 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Eastern. But on Fridays, I record in IGTV so that I can spend a bit more time with you. And my hope is that I'll be able to discuss topics related to self-care, mental health, mindfulness, compassion, and those sorts of issues in a bit greater depth. I hope to share some strategies, resources, tips, techniques that have helped me and have helped lots of other people deal with stress and uncertainty and other mental health struggles, in the hopes that maybe something will resonate with you and will help your mental health as well. So grab your favorite beverage. I'm having coffee like always, getting my morning caffeine, and join me for this virtual coffee date on IGTV. I'm so glad you're here. So for those of you who are joining our virtual coffee date for the first time, welcome and thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you found me. The purpose of these coffee dates is first to hold me accountable for continuing to practice my morning routine every day. So I find for my mental health, that having some sort of consistent schedule really does help me. It's a coping mechanism. It helps to add some structure to my day. It helps me with energy and motivation. It just sets the tone for the rest of my day. So sharing my morning routine with you through Instagram is one way to hold myself accountable for continuing that routine. But then also, I really genuinely hope that sharing my morning routine with you will inspire you to come up with your own routine. It doesn't have to be in the morning. So any time of the day where you have a few minutes where you can consistently do something, consistently practice self-care in a way that makes you feel better, that makes you feel good, healthier, happier, calmer, right? So I hope that by sharing my poem of the day and oracle card of the day, which is my morning routine, that I will encourage you to find or create a routine for yourself. So all that being said, I'm going to take another sip of coffee and I'm going to share today, rather than a poem, I'm going to mix it up and I'm going to share some affirmations. Okay, so let me take a sip. Ah, that's good. All right, let me put that aside. Okay, I'm sitting in my bed, so the way I'm sitting is not necessarily the most comfortable, so I'm sorry if I'm wiggling around. So today I thought I would share a set of affirmations for you that were written by the Millennial Therapist on Instagram. So you can find her. Her account is millennial.therapist. And she is just great. She shares some really, really helpful, very useful, valuable information related to mental health. And you don't have to be a millennial to follow her. So I thought I would share some of these really great affirmations she posted on her account the other day. Okay, I'm going to read them twice through. And you can repeat after me if that feels good. Today, I am accepting my humanity, mistakes and all. Today, I am releasing myself of my unrealistic expectations. Today, I am allowing myself to mourn my loss. Today, I am choosing to validate and embrace my feelings. Today, I am choosing self-compassion over self-judgment. Today, I am choosing to be grateful. Today, I am choosing myself. So I'll read those through one more time. Today, I am accepting my humanity, mistakes and all. Today, I am releasing myself of my unrealistic expectations. Today, I am allowing myself to mourn my loss. Today, I am choosing to validate and embrace my feelings. Today, I am choosing self-compassion over self-judgment. Today, I am choosing to be grateful. Today, I am choosing myself. So those affirmations were written by Sarah Kubrick, who is the Millennial Therapist on Instagram. So thank you, Sarah, for those amazing affirmations. I thought they were particularly applicable for what we're experiencing right now. Some really good messages to internalize self-compassion, embracing our feelings, honoring them, recognizing what we've lost, setting aside unrealistic expectations and just being real and treating ourselves with self-compassion, practicing gratitude, even if what we're grateful for is just the tiniest, most ordinary, mundane thing, accepting our humanity, right? So I hope those resonated with you. I hope you take some of those to heart. I think repeating those affirmations every day, maybe that's part of a routine that you have, can make actually a big difference to our mental health. All right. So today, in our Friday virtual coffee date, I wanted to talk about healthy versus less healthy coping mechanisms. I don't really want to say unhealthy. I'll just say less healthy. I mean, as we've talked about, and as everybody has been talking about, you know, we're currently experiencing a global crisis that has turned, you know, our lives upside down. The COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically increased our stress levels as we face fear, uncertainty, stress, grief, loneliness, right? All of these really heavy emotions are weighing on us and jacking up our stress levels. The cortisol is probably just pumping through our bodies and making us uncomfortable, making us unhappy, making us fearful, and all these other things, right? So times are hard. And to make matters worse, most of us don't have access to our usual comforts, like, going to the movies, meeting a friend for a cup of coffee and a chat, going to work out at the gym, right? For many of us, our usual comforts, our usual stress relievers aren't available to us right now during social isolation and quarantine. And so many of us are left struggling, not really knowing how to handle or how to relieve these heavy emotions that we're feeling and bring down our stress levels, because what has worked for us in the past, we no longer can do because we're supposed to be keeping away from other people. So today because of that, many of us may be reaching for or relying on coping strategies that are less than healthy, that are less effective, because we don't know what else to do, right? We don't really know what else is available to us. So today I want to talk about healthy versus less healthy coping mechanisms and what the difference is between them. But first, it's important. I want to really stress that my intention here is not to make anyone feel guilty about the coping strategies that you're currently implementing in your life. Absolutely not. This is a guilt-free, shame-free zone, judgment-free zone. Most of us have never experienced anything like this before. Hopefully we never experience anything like this again. And so because we've never had this experience, we're unsure of what to do. We're struggling with identifying self-care and stress relieving habits that we can use to make ourselves feel better. And that's okay. That's right. We're supposed to embrace our humanity as our affirmations were encouraging us to do. And that's okay. So my intention is not to make anybody feel guilty, or for anybody to worry about their coping mechanisms. My intention is simply to encourage us, if it feels right, to be a bit more mindful about the coping strategies that we're using in our daily lives, to ensure that what we're doing is actually making us feel better, that is actually helping our mental health. So that's my purpose for today, okay? So healthy versus less healthy coping mechanisms. What's the difference? On the surface, healthy and less healthy coping mechanisms look the same, even identical, really. What makes them different from one another is the intention behind those actions. Okay, the intention behind those actions. And not just the intention, but also how those actions ultimately affect our well-being, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, etc. Okay, how it affects our well-being. So when you're implementing a coping mechanism, it's important to ask ourselves, why are we doing this thing, this action, and how is it making us feel, right? What's the outcome of practicing that particular coping mechanism, right? So to uncover the intention behind it and how it's making us feel at the end of the day. Okay, so let's use food as an example, because food is something that I struggle with. And I think many of us are struggling with healthy food intake during this time of social isolation. So let's use food. So comfort food. It's called comfort food for a reason, right? It comforts us. It makes us feel good, right? So if we're using comfort food as a healthy coping mechanism, we're intentionally choosing a food that makes us feel good. We're intentionally choosing a food that makes us feel good, that brings back happy memories, that gives us a little mood boost, but we're doing it intentionally. And by consuming that comfort food, we truly, genuinely feel nourished or genuinely comforted. Eating that food makes us feel good, not just in that moment, but in the longer term after eating it, right? It actually serves its purpose to comfort us. And we're able to stop eating that comfort food once we feel comforted. So once we start to feel good, we can stop eating the food. We don't continue to eat it kind of mindlessly, right? And after eating the food, we are left feeling uplifted, satisfied, even grateful, right, for that food. So that's using comfort food as a healthy coping mechanism. In contrast, using comfort food as a less than healthy coping mechanism, the intention is often not there. We're oftentimes just eating for eating's sake. We're eating to numb our feelings, right? To numb our emotions. So the intentionality or the consciousness isn't really there. We're just eating to numb. And we're just kind of falling back on comfort food almost as like an unconscious habit. So a lot of times, when we emotionally eat or we binge eat something, we're not being as intentional or as conscious about it. And it also doesn't end up making us feel very good. Oftentimes after we eat comfort food as a less than healthy coping mechanism, we feel worse than we did before. So maybe we feel numb, maybe we feel empty, maybe we feel just icky, kind of sick, right? So at the end of the day, that comfort food didn't actually serve its purpose to comfort us, to uplift us, to make us feel better, to make us feel less stressed. So therefore, in that instance, the comfort food becomes a less healthy coping mechanism. Does that difference make sense? So same comfort food, but the intention behind eating it is different. Therefore, the outcome is different. And that's what distinguishes them. So think about some of the ways that you've been coping or trying to cope with all these heavy emotions during the past few weeks. What are some of the self-care practices that you've been using? What are some of the stress relievers you've been implementing into your life? And ask yourself, why are you doing those things? What's the intention behind them? And how do they make you feel? Not just in the moment, but in the longer term. Whether that longer term is, a few hours, a couple days, a few weeks even. How is it making you feel in the moment and then after the fact, right? So, I struggle with comfort food. We've been going to when we go to the grocery store, masks and all, we find ourselves buying junk food. We order a lot of food delivered and we get desserts and appetizers, right? We're definitely we're definitely eating a lot more junk than we normally do. And if we were eating something like the other day, I was sitting at my desk doing some work at my computer, and I had a family size bag of M&Ms on my desk. And as I was working, I just kept reaching in and eating these M&Ms. And I realized after a while that I had eaten like half of a bag, a family size bag of M&Ms. Now, if eating those M&Ms made me feel better, if it truly, genuinely made me feel better, it made me feel less stressed, it made me feel comforted, it uplifted me, it boosted my mood. If it truly made me feel good to eat those M&Ms, then eat the M&Ms. Absolutely, right? But for me in that moment, I was doing it mindlessly. My intention wasn't necessarily to comfort myself or make myself feel better, feel good, feel healthier, feel calmer. That wasn't really my intention. I didn't really have an intention, to be honest with you. It was just kind of mindless snacking. I wasn't being conscious of it. So that was my lack of intention. And then afterwards, I honestly felt a bit gross, kind of sick and jittery, right? Because of all the sugar that I had just consumed in a short period of time. So the outcome wasn't positive either. It didn't actually comfort me. It didn't actually make me feel better. It made me feel worse. So because of those two things, I viewed eating those M&Ms as a less healthy coping mechanism. So I decided to replace it with something healthier, which for me is I started playing like really upbeat, happy music while I'm working at the computer. And I set a timer on my phone to go off every 2 hours to remind me to get up, go outside to the patio, and just stand in the fresh air. If it's sunny, absorb some sunshine. And those two coping strategies actually do make me feel happier, calmer, less stressed, and they do comfort me. They do bring me joy, whereas the M&Ms didn't. So the point I'm trying to make is to really think about the intention behind your coping mechanisms, whether that's binge watching Netflix or scrolling for hours on your social media, whatever the coping mechanism is. Think about the intention behind it, why you're doing it, what you're seeking, and then also consider how it makes you feel in the moment as well as in the longer term after the fact, right? So remember that my intention is not for you to feel guilty or ashamed for the coping mechanisms that you're using. What works for you might not work for me, and what works for me might not work for you, right? Self-care, stress relief, coping, all of those things are really, really personal. So you really have to think about what's going to work for you, right? So take my advice with a grain of salt. Think about what works for you, what makes sense for you, and what's going to make you genuinely, truly feel better, right? So think about your intention behind the coping mechanism. Think about the initial way it makes you feel, as well as how it makes you feel in the longer term. And then use that reflection to maybe consider whether or not some of your coping strategies could be revised or tweaked just a little bit to make you truly feel better. Because at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do is feel better, right? So that's my soapbox speech about healthy versus less healthy coping mechanisms. So I promised you a giveaway. So if you've stuck along with me for this long of our IGTV episode, you deserve a reward. You deserve a treat. So today I have a bunch of really awesome stickers, most of which relate to mental health and self-care. And so I have a bunch of them that I would love to mail you. So if you love stickers and if you love getting mail, snail mail, leave a comment on this post and let me know what coping strategies you've been using lately. And then you can direct message, DM me your mailing address, and I will be delighted to send you a few stickers. So I have some really awesome ones from The Latest Kate. You can find her on Instagram, The Latest Kate. She does these beautiful drawings and kind of watercolor-like drawings of animals with really inspiring messages. Here's the unicorn, right? And then I also have some great ones by Sarah Allen, so a self-care warrior with her cup of coffee. All right, and I have a bunch from the company Big Moods. So I have the reminder to just breathe. I have my lovely little sloth, right? Some days we feel like that, right? If you're a cat mom, let me know, because I do have a cat mom sticker, first come, first serve. So if you love stickers, you want to get some mail to uplift you, to boost your mood, leave me a comment on this post about what coping strategies or stress relievers you've been using lately. And then direct message me your mailing address. and I would be delighted to send you some stickers. Unfortunately, I can only mail to people in the United States right now. So for my international friends, I'm terribly sorry. But hopefully once all this mess is over, I can start doing some international giveaways as well. So thank you so much for being with me today. I hope this was useful. If there are other topics that you'd like me to discuss in future Friday coffee dates, please leave me a comment and let me know. I want these episodes to be actually valuable to you. So once again, join me in Instagram lives in my stories, Mondays through Thursdays at 8 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Eastern, and on Fridays in IGTV. Thanks everybody. Have a wonderful day.